All right, so in example 3 there, we've read the scenario. What are we after?
64 feet above the ground.
When the object will be more than 64 feet above the ground. What does more than mean?
Greater than.
Greater than. So I'm going to take that equation they gave me and I'm going to set it greater than 64. Now I don't have to worry about that SOT because now that's my feet, so that's not going to matter. So how can I solve this inequality?
Exactly how we would all the other ones.
Just like we did example 1, what was our first step? Move the 64 over. So we end up with negative 16 t squared plus 80t minus 64 is greater than 0. Now what? Say it again. Switch it to equal 0. Good. Okay. Now what do we do? Factor how?
Alien.
Yeah, those are some ugly numbers to do alien with, though. What's our first step? Should always be to factoring.
Factor something.
Greatest common factor. Do they have anything in common? Well, I don't like the negative at the lead, so I'm going to take out a negative. There's a, yeah, I'm going to say it's bigger than negative 8. There's actually a 16 that can come out. So negative 16. So I want to take out negative 16. I got t squared minus 5t plus 4. And then can I factor that trinomial?
Yeah.
All right, it's a simple trinomial, right?
4 and 1.
So t and t, good. 4 and 1 minus 4 minus 1. Now remember, we could divide by the negative 16, but we said at this step, just set everything that's being multiplied equal to 0. And negative 16 equals 0 doesn't make sense, so we end up just throwing it out. So then I got t minus 4 equals 0, and t minus 1 equals 0. All right, they both came from the same polynomial, so am I going to use parentheses or brackets? Why parentheses? Because the inequality doesn't have an equal to in it. All right. So I'm going to draw my number line. And I don't have any room down there, so I'm going to go up to the top here and put my table. I can see my intervals there in my number line. So negative infinity to 1, and you said at 1 we're going to use parenthesis, 1 to 4, and at 4 we're going to use, and then from 4 to infinity. So let's pick a number in each interval from negative infinity to 1, from 1 to 4, 4 to infinity. All right, so now it doesn't matter which of these equations we use. We could use the negative 16t squared plus 80t minus 64, or we could use the one below it, or even the one below it to solve for y. Okay, they're all equal to each other. I'm not really fond of taking 80 times some number, so I'm not going to use the first one. So I'm going to use either the second one or the third one. What do y'all prefer? The third one? All right, so we know then that y is equal to negative 16 times t minus 4 times t minus 1. So let's plug in when x is 0. And we can solve that. So what'd y'all get? Negative 64, good. And so it's negative. Then plug in 2 All right, so we get negative 16 times negative 2 times 1, which is 32. And that's positive. And then I'm going to plug in 5.
That'll be negative. That's how it goes.
Well, that's how it should, right?
Yes.
Because we didn't have any multiplicity, so it should be negative, but we got to make sure, because if my intervals are wrong, then it may not be.
It most certainly is.
And it does. We get a negative 64 again.
Wait.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, that's not good.
All right, so let's go.